our little mind, I know I've been talking about it a lot lately, but I think it's a great tool to neurologically understand how we work and what we have in the brain, to understand what we can do to optimize it and to change and to be more self-aware with the actions we're doing every day to change what we want to change. When we open the brain, even looking at the brain like this, we can see that there's different functionings. Usually in the front of the brain, that's where our senses adapt information. So our senses can not be true sometimes because we sense something and then we automatically perceive it based on our experiences. So we're attaching whatever we're sensing to our experiences automatically. That's why every experience is super subjective and every emotion is subjective. So I know I keep talking about the mind, but I feel like it's so important that there's so many different functions within it that the more we understand it, or the more, you want to acquire this knowledge to do so. And if you don't change your belief, which is your subconscious mind, then nothing is going to change in your actual conscious personal reality. And it's not like a one-day thing you're going to understand mentally. Whenever you hear these concepts, sometimes you might be with so many beliefs stored that you can't acknowledge whatever someone is telling you, whatever knowledge someone is giving to you, or whatever you can even see it with partnerships. If you have certain habits, that those shadow sides keep you in the back. So this is what the brain inside looks like. So we have the prefrontal, then the limbic, and then the cerebellum. So the prefrontal is basically the first part of the brain. Here we have the neocortex, which this is our conscious side. In this part of the brain, we have all the sensory perceptions. We have the senses residing here. I'm not going to go into depth of them, but basically the conscious mind, it's everything you're consciously aware of. Everything you see, everything you perceive, everything you're aware now. Then here we have the limbic system. The limbic system is the mammalian brain. It's called the mammalian brain because it's the emotional side. Think about mammals, they operate in packs. They're emotional, they care about each other, they do nurture and nature. So they take care of each other, they go in packs, they're emotional, they hunt, they want to eat. That's how mammals work. They have that emotional attachment style where they have to reproduce. And then the cerebellum, here, this is called the reptilian. And then the prefrontal is just humans. So humans, we have 40% of the conscious side of the brain developed in a prefrontal cortex. And this is just being discovered recently. So what that means is that neurochemistry and metacognition, all of these terms that it's neurologically starting to be proven how we can subconsciously change our beliefs, our subconscious patterns, only starting with one thought. And it explains the system to understand how our brain works and how it is just a computer, and every software of your childhood, of subconscious patterns and beliefs from all your evolution of your own unique journey, everything is stored in the memory of the hippocampus that is storing every record in your brain. So once we understand that we have these three brains, we can tap into them and see how they work and have them work together. So if we understand that this is our thinking, then this is our emotional side, our mammalian side, our digestive issues, our digestive tract, our emotions, everything is stored here in this brain. If you literally put your spinal cord and that's literally tapping into your middle brain. When you're in your senses, when you're in your emotional side, you're in that digestive tract. You're in those digestive systems that you have to be circulating that energy. So if there's certain habits, just like the neurologic aspect of the brain, if there's certain habits stuck, that's why nowadays there's a lot of energy flow psychology, because we work with the body to understand what's going on subconsciously, because that's how body and mind connect. Everything is connected, because all those beliefs can be the things that it's blocking certain chakras, certain centers, tracts in your body. The more we understand the beliefs we're having stuck in our hippocampus, in our limbic brain, in our mammalian brain, the more we can change them. When we understand that the brain, this part of the brain, which would be your subconscious, because it's all your mind, it's everything that is from here would be your spinal cord. So if you put your spinal cord here, it holds all of the brain. It holds all of the body. That's why trauma could be stored in the body, because the limbic brain holds everything in your system. I know this was a little messy, but basically the subconscious, looking at the mind, would be the limbic system. So the more we could become passionate, self-aware, become aware or try to understand our subconscious mind, our subconscious side, tap more into those limiting beliefs, and don't be scared to dive deep into them, understand them, because that's what's going to help you to become who you want to be, to neurologically think in new ways and create a new state of being for yourself, create a new personality for yourself. So understanding this, we can understand how our brain works, that it's so much more complex, and we have all of these aspects to ourselves that we have to deconstruct. As above, so below. So literally when we look at the nervous system, that's why we see so many problems in the body that are correlated with the head, because it's the things we picked up and our subconscious energy is keeping repressed. It's keeping repressed, so it's showing physically, external physical trauma, disease, leads back to your environment, to everything that conditioned you, to the collective unconscious, that every single thing you had to repress, it's causing your body to store all this energy. So when we look at things and when we start treating person as a whole and looking at yourself as a whole and understanding your roots, the patterns that led you to where you are, then you start to point the finger at yourself and understand that there are certain things you are not looking at. Running away from your shadow self, seeking outwardly for explanation or answers, you're just gonna keep storing more and more weight into your unconscious, because you're repressing everything you could be, or you're repressing a certain aspect of yourself you don't want to acknowledge, you don't want to heal from, so you can't reach your fullest potential. And that could be applied to your job, your relationship with people, a certain habit you want to change about yourself that you seem stuck in. Whatever you are stuck in, whatever your unconscious pattern, it's like your body has control over you. That's what the shadow is trying to communicate, a certain habit about yourself that you're not acknowledging. And it might be so many files behind that you have to go and become like a detective of yourself and go back to your roots and to your plants and understand everything you're storing and every belief you might have to change. And how do we do that? Understanding our frequency, understanding our brain waves, and understanding that our mind is very connected with how our body functions, with how our external events happen. Manifestation and all of these things are not that pseudo. It's more putting it into practical terms. Like, it's not manifesting and not doing anything. It's wanting to do something and then just going towards it, putting the action behind it, but not with the excessive overthinking and the excessive fear that your ego must be causing. And healthy amount of fear, that's fine, but I'm saying like extreme fear about a certain thing that you know is something you have unconsciously, that it's a belief that's keeping you from being your fullest potential, your higher self. So yeah, I'm gonna go a little deeper on this, but I wanted to briefly explain that we have three minds. We're very complex. We're like a tree: limbic, prefrontal, and where everything is stored, where you're conditioned, who you are. Here you're picking up, you're perceiving in your limbic. You're making your boxes based on the emotions you're having and the feelings you're having. So you're characterizing them differently. Emotions are subjective. We perceive things in very different ways, and what makes me happy could not be the thing that makes you happy, and that's fine, because we all have different experiences. So if you have a fear of commitment and someone else shows certain characteristics of being too attached to you, then you might run away, but someone else might actually like that. Someone else might actually respond to that better. It's all depending on the sort of like emotions you have stored in the back of your brain that make up who you are and the traits you're having. So going back to emotions, you assimilate emotions to events in your life. So if you have a fear of commitment, you are associating fear, the emotion of fear, with commitment, but someone else might not fear commitment due to their circumstances growing up or due to whatever event traumatized them. So yeah, remember, you have three brains, you're powerful.